What would you say is the biggest theme that God has written across your motherhood journey so far?
Man, definitely, I can't do it myself. I don't know.
Yes.
A lot of times, growing up, I was confident in my teens and early 20s, I can do this. And
Mhm.
I love the Lord, but obviously when I started having kids, it was just like a whole new dependence on him because it is
Yeah.
hard. There's a lot of
Yeah.
hard times, but yet he wants to meet us there. And I want to do a home birth. I don't want to have an option to get the epidural because I don't know if I'm strong enough to say no.
Yeah.
And so, but that freaked Seth out. There was no way. I didn't know anyone that had a home birth. And
Mhm.
so he was like, no, we're going to a hospital. They did hook me up to the monitor for contractions. And they were like, you don't feel any contractions? And I was like, no. And I mean, I could feel my belly was tight, and I figured maybe it was Braxton Hicks, but they were like, "You're having pretty intense contractions every 2.5 minutes." I was like, "Well, I don't know. That's
Wow.
great."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, if this is the case, this is gonna be a breeze." My wonderful nurse spoke up for me, and she was like, "She doesn't want one." And in that moment, I really needed her to say that because I was questioning. But when
That's
we
nice.
changed nurses, it did change the dynamic a lot, which was challenging, but, that's just what happens in the medical system. You never know who you're gonna have. And I got really intense at the end, and I was, needing to push. I had the urge to push, and my nurse finally checked and was like, "Oh, yeah, there's the head." And so she called, my OB, the OB on call, and they were like, "Oh, we'll be there soon." And I'm, needing to push, and my nurse is getting in my face, and she's like, "No, you cannot push." And so that was a
Wow.
lot. And, in these moments, it's like in the medical system, "Hey, is it okay if a few students come in?" And, of course, they come a whole crew of 5 or 6. Oh my gosh. And I mean,
Yep.
I understand the teaching, and in that moment, I'm like, "Sure, whatever." And they come in, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Lori. What's your name?" And my husband looks at me, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're in labor." But, in between contractions is such it's normal.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
was between contractions, and it's fine. And then they all they're like, "Wait, she's unmedicated? She doesn't have an epidural? How is she in good spirits?" So I have several friends that are doing home births for their first kids now, and I'm like,
Wow.
I encourage you to, not share it with people that you don't need to. And if people
Yeah.
ask, feel free to share, and sometimes even, the precursor of, "I'm doing something a little different, and I would love and appreciate your support and your encouragement and your prayer. But if you have any negativity or situations, would you mind keeping that to yourself? Because I'm really trying to protect my thoughts and not letting that spiral out of control." But to be at home was so peaceful. We had worship music in our living room that was on our big speaker, and it was just dark. I had twinkly lights. We had a birth pool set up, and it was just I don't know. It was so peaceful and exactly what I prayed for. I had a lot of moments of just tearfulness and just intimacy with the Lord during that time.